Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tobacco Road and Abroad. My name's Gareth Parsons, joined by Aiden Moore. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. We've got some exciting developments across all levels of football. We've got some MMA, and we may touch on some other stuff tonight. So we'll,
Yeah.
we'll just see where this goes. What do you want to start with?
I mean, let's start off with college football. We had a big week for college football, week 8. Starting off, you know what? Let's start off home with the Carolina teams. UNC went over to Cal for a 10:30 Eastern Standard Time kickoff. Um, oh my gosh, this game. Uh, okay, so I mean, I'll say this Carolina team had a little bit more fight in it than I was expecting. Now, granted, I don't think this Cal team is great, but we were as close. This is the closest we've ever gotten to beating a Power Four team, and it ended in a very unfortunate a late drive that was going UNC's way. With a fumble going out in the back end of the end zone for a touchback on a wide open touchdown. What would have been a wide open touchdown, and that pretty much took out the life for UNC, and Cal took the win. I'll say this for the first 3 quarters, Cal was pretty dominant. I mean, I wouldn't say they were like anything impressive. There was a lot of, I guess, questionable decisions. It was it was really boring. I'm not gonna lie, for like a while. UNC was just kind of in the game, like on a technicality, like being down 21-10. It's not that bad, but just watching this game, it felt like any time this UNC team is down, it feels like you're down 20 points instead of 2. And it just feels like there's no momentum like at all. And it just feels like it's very painful to watch. This is not fun to watch. This is not good football. I'll watch just about anything, but this was a struggle for me to like stay up and watch. Like this was bad. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Gio Lopez looked pretty decent uh, for a little while. Going, I mean, 19 for 35, 167 yards. I mean, he didn't throw any picks, so good for him. But I guess the main like saving grace for Carolina was just being able to like rush at times. I mean, Gio Lopez is looking a little bit better as like the season has progressed. I mean, there's fewer. Uh, I mean, there's mistakes, but like lots of mistakes. But I feel like there's fewer mistakes. I feel like we can see a little bit of improvement, and I think um, I like there's really nothing to say. This season's a wash for the Heels right now. Like it's bad, but um, well, they got UVA this week. We can go into our predictions later, but I'm just spoiler. I don't think it's looking good for the Tar Heels right now. But I guess moving on, Georgia Tech went over to Durham to play Duke. Uh, Georgia Tech looked pretty good in this. Um, I mean, there were times where I feel like Georgia Tech has a real dominance issue, in my opinion, with their style of play. I don't think they're not going to wow you on stat sheet at all. I mean, they have a really good rushing attack behind Haynes King. And once they get going, they can really get going. Like they turned it on in that fourth quarter. But I feel like Georgia Tech and their style of play is really not going to look well on a lot of like these college football playoff voters as the season progresses. We have our first, uh, I guess, CFP playoff uh, bracket being released in November. I believe November 4th. So about 2 weeks from now, we're going to see the committee get together and put together rankings that actually matter. Right now, rankings really don't matter as much, in my opinion. They tell a lot, but I'm not too hung up on the rankings right now. There's a couple rankings that I think are a little bit questionable, but for the most part, they don't matter. And I feel like for the voters, they're going to be seeing these games like Georgia Tech versus Duke, and they're going to be seeing a good team that seems to struggle against like competition they on paper should be beating by a lot more. And a good win for a Georgia Tech team. This is a very solid Duke team, but I understand a little bit of the noise on social media saying that Georgia Tech is overrated.
Yeah, I've even seen some state fans saying that like Georgia Tech isn't analytically good, but I think it's kind of what you hit on. It's just their style of play. I think it's very similar to how a few years ago in college basketball, when you played Virginia, like even when they were the number one team in the nation, they beat bad teams by like, less than 10 just because they played a very slow and methodical way. Georgia Tech plays a very slow and methodical style of football. It's very reminiscent of the option, the way they nickel and dime you.
Hmm.
They're not going for the home run punch. They're gonna kill you. They're gonna death by 1,000 cuts, and then when it matters most, they're gonna rip off like an 85-yard run. Like it'll be a scenario. They they're showing run. They're running. They know that they're running, and they still rip off like an 80-yard run because they've been beating you down on. And like I said, very similar to Virginia. I feel like when you play Georgia Tech, like a touchdown lead for Georgia Tech is like almost being down 14 if you're the team that's playing from behind against Georgia Tech. Now that can go both ways with how slow their offense is. Say for instance, there's a team that's got explosive upside potential and is able to lay a quick 14 or 21 on them. That could present issues. I feel like that could present issues. Um, so I still think Georgia Tech's a top 10 team. I mean, what? They're number 7 right now, or are they number 9?
I want to say number. I don't have the rankings in front of me right now, but I think I remember saying that they were number 9. Hang on, I could.
It's single digits. No, number 7.
Yeah.
They're number 7. But no, I mean, I thought it was a good win. I mean, they led by 17 points in the fourth quarter, and then Duke kind of in garbage time scored a touchdown and then got a 2-point conversion. I mean, the game was out of reach at that point. They would have needed 3 touchdowns to win that game, or 2 touchdowns and a field goal, which is not happening. So, I mean, hats off to Georgia Tech. I mean, Duke played a good game. I just feel like I forget if you said this. Duke, I feel like, is a good team. They're just really kind of stepping on their dick a lot this year when it comes to stuff. Like
Hmm.
Duke's the turnovers here have kind of killed Duke. Duke,
Yeah.
they had the ball first, like on the goal line against Georgia Tech. They fumble it, and it goes for a touchdown. What does Duke do on the very next drive? They turn the ball over again. I mean, there was a lot of miscues here for Duke. There's missed field goals, going 3-and-outs. And when you're playing a team like Georgia Tech where every possession's going to matter, you cannot do that. And that's just kind of, I feel like, been almost a summary of Duke's entire season is like when they don't turn the ball over, Duke's a pretty good team. But thing is, we've talked about this all year, going back to even the Illinois game. It's these turnovers and just empty possessions for Duke. Not even 3-and-outs, just possessions where you miss a field goal, possessions where you get down to enemy territory and then you go turn it over on downs. It's just these drives that end up in empty possessions. Not 3-and-outs. I mean, actual sustained drives that end up in empty possessions that I think is going to ultimately do them in. Other games that I kind of want to touch on from earlier in the weekend, Louisville, Miami. I didn't get to watch this game because I was at my sister's senior night for football, so that was fun. I was able to watch a lot of the end of the third quarter and fourth quarter for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have more of an idea of what happened, but from my kind of recap, the game rewatch that I watched and just the highlights, it kind of just seemed like Miami just wasn't finishing, and there was a lot of mistakes. Um, the first two turnovers didn't lead to immediate, you know what I'm saying, immediate like consequences because first interception, Louisville went 3-and-out. Second interception, Louisville went 3-and-out.
Mm-hmm.
So no immediate damage done, but interception, and then Louisville fumbles it back to him. And I realize at the end of the day, those are empty possessions. Like those are possessions where Miami could have scored on.
Yes.
But they are not possessions that directly resulted in disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So, which makes me think that, which is going to lead me to believe that Louisville's better than we thought they were.
Yes.
Because Louisville beat them. Not open play is not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Is like Louisville traded points with them, not when it came down to turnovers. Like they were able to take advantage of those 3-and-outs, which still if you're Miami playing at home against an unranked conference opponent, you cannot be going 3-and-out. You can't even be going 4-and-out. I know that's not really a term, but you can't even really be going 4-and-out, if you get what I'm saying. You need long, sustained drives. And that's essentially what it seemed to be like. It's trading touchdowns when there's trading field goals for touchdowns and just 3-and-outs. I mean, I don't know if you watched the game, right? So you probably got a
Yes.
better idea of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. I watched the game. I feel like, well, number one, the first thing that you got to address, 4 interceptions by Carson Beck. I mean, Gareth had this prediction earlier in the season. He was saying Carson Beck's going to kind of fall off the wagon, and his production is going to decline. He had a like he had a lot of yards in passing, like 271. He outthrew Louisville and Miller Moss, but just it felt like he was throwing interceptions at like the most inopportune time. First interception, you're down 14-7. So, this is early in the second quarter. It's still a ball game. It doesn't amount to anything. Louisville punts, but then followed up by another interception, and then two interceptions in the fourth quarter in like crunch time. First one early in the fourth quarter where Miami's starting to accumulate a little bit of a drive, kind of heading down. They're down by 9. This is like crunch time right now. They need something, and it doesn't happen. They throw an interception, and it's always Miami's defense that was kind of bailing them out. They were able to get a fumble on the next play, and thankfully they were able to score a touchdown off of a 12-yard run. And then once again, Miami's defense bails them out. They have a punt now. This is clutch time. Everything, you had a bad game. Listen, you threw 3 interceptions at this point. This is where you kind of got to become a little bit of a Joe Montana. Joe Montana was not known for having like the best games, but he was able in those like really, really crappy games where he threw a lot of interceptions, was able to like make that last drive count. And we just didn't see that. Miami was starting to drive. It was looking pretty good. Like, gained 54 yards in this drive, ended with the Carson Beck interception. And I don't want to put it on just Carson Beck for this loss, but you got to acknowledge the Miami defense is really, really good, and they bailed them out a lot. And I think that's just something Miami's going to have to address in these next coming weeks, because you're in a particular interesting situation right now. I mean, Louisville is definitely a really great team, but props to the Miami defense for keeping them in that game, because it could have gotten a lot uglier.
My only question is, yes, you have a veteran quarterback in Carson Beck, but why do you put the ball in the air there at the end? You have the time. You have the time. You're trying to run down the clock to send this to overtime. I get you're trying to be a little aggressive and win the game, but you have 2 timeouts and you're on the 30. You are well within your kicker's field goal range. And I get that it comes down to, you're not going to predict Carson Beck staring down his check down. Like you're just not going to predict that as an offensive coordinator, but why even risk it? I know he's been pretty much near perfect all season, so I can see it from that angle. But why even put the ball in the air? Your offense is slowly coming alive. More than likely, with how momentum's going, you're going to score pretty fast in overtime. Your defense is stepping up. All indicators are pointing towards you are most likely going to win this game in overtime. And I know screwy things happen in overtime. You know, one drop pass and you've gone 3 and out in overtime and you're kicking the field goal. But still, your offense is humming right now. You've got 30 seconds, and I get there's also the flip side of this. Your offense is humming. Just put the knife in it now. But also, you're Miami. You've got decent backs. I know you're only averaging 2.6 yards a carry on the ground. Your running back has kind of been getting stuffed all night. Your starting running back only got 18 yards on 8 carries, that's not great. That's not a great, rate of return on that. But still, and I get, similar to your point, and when you're saying at some point you got to Joe Montana it. But I think going forward as a result of this, particularly in these high pressure situations, I think Miami is going to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to this stuff. Even in games where there's a clear skill mismatch, I think Miami is going to be a little bit more conservative, particularly if the score is close, because they do not want to replicate this again.
You got to be in this situation, because no disrespect to Louisville. Louisville has a lot of great talent, but in the ACC, Miami should be, this season at least, Miami should be, we can control the game on our own terms. We can play as conservative as we want. We can play like we are going to outlast you in overtime. We saw that with people say like there were some questionable calls by the refs, but hey, ACC, what you going to do? But we saw that with Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. We're going to outlast you. We have the better players. We have the better strength. We're stronger than you. We can outlast you. If I'm Louisville, I don't want this game going into overtime. If I'm at Miami, I'm fine with this game going into overtime, because at the end, we have the better talent.
Yeah, more than likely, you are going to come out on top. I mean, look at the games that happened this weekend. Texas, Kentucky. What happens? Kentucky didn't really sputter out in overtime, but these teams that know they're on the back foot, they know they don't have the talent, they get desperate.
Mm-hmm.
They go for it on 4th and goal, don't get it, and they can go for the win. It usually now we probably need to do like the actual statistical analysis on this, but when I feel like teams go into overtime against ranked teams, particularly on the road, you don't want, like you don't want to do that. You don't want it, like if you're the non-ranked team in that scenario, you don't want that going to overtime. If you're at home, sure, let it go into overtime. You got the crowd behind you. But if you're on the road, you want to end that shit in regulation. You do not want to give that crowd a chance to get back into the game. You've been taking it to them all night. Don't give them any extra chances. So, I mean, yeah. I don't know if my prediction of Carson Beck, my joke about him getting benched after 6 games, but I do think there is going to be a little bit of a fall off, like I said in my initial prediction, that there's going to be a regression. To what degree? I don't know. But I do think there is going to be a regression. Next game.
Do you want to keep it? Hang on. Let's just do a quick. Let's finish out the Carolinas
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
games, and then I want to talk about Notre Dame, USC. There's a lot of good top matchups that we can talk about. But going back to Thursday night, East Carolina got a big win over Tulsa. East Carolina's offense just absolutely looking pretty dominant. We had Hauser go off completely and throwing for 2 touchdowns in the game. Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm losing my notes right now. They had a really solid win over Tulsa. Going over to App State. App State had a tough loss to Coastal Carolina. App State kind of threw that one in the fourth quarter. In main critique from that one, just not being able to capitalize in the big moments whatsoever. In that fourth quarter, they had a turnover on downs. They had a fumble, I believe. And that pretty much sealed the game in Coastal Carolina's favor. Just not a good look for App State, in my opinion. But I'm not necessarily sounding the alarm because, as I said before, App State is just App State. I'm not going to completely I have limited expectations for App State. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm not saying that they're one of the best out there. But kind of tough loss for App State, but I think they're still due for a bowl game if they can continue on their with their offensive production being really solid and probably needing to step it up a little bit more on defense. Allowing over 40 points to Coastal Carolina is definitely not a good look, especially in a offensively pretty stacked Sun Belt division. We need to see more defensive production from App State in these crucial moments. Last one in the Carolinas that I saw, I think Charlotte got a just blowout loss to Temple. Not a good look on Charlotte, but really, what do you expect?
Yeah, it's Charlotte. Yeah, rough.
And my Wi-Fi's back. We're good. Sorry, that was all just off the dome.
All good. I mean, your picture froze, but we could still hear you loud and clear, so that's good.
Okay, good. Audio was still good?
Audio is still good.
All right, good. Now that we recapped the Carolina matchups, there's a lot of big top 25 matchups that were really interesting. And obviously, since I'm a big Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame versus USC, that was one that I had the ability to watch in its entirety. I've seen the highlights, watched it again. Really great showing for Notre Dame on this one. I feel like the main takeaways that I have for this one, number one from USC, very questionable coaching in the pivotal moments. I just did not know what was going on with the offensive choice, play style. starting off in the game, like in the first quarter, it looked like USC was able to score at will. Like I'm talking in the first quarter right now. And Notre Dame, for a moment, looked like they were just kind of playing from behind. Obviously, USC had the ball first, but it, that USC like first quarter, that was just Trojan football right there. But as the game progressed, I saw more and more questionable mistakes. The one that you're probably there's two big ones in the fourth quarter that you're going to see that really kind of sealed the game. That was one where there was a trick play that it was tossed to, I believe, the halfback, and was supposed to like be a halfback pass, but it eventually led to a fumble. Notre Dame gets the ball, and then the last one, it was the game was kind of out of reach. I don't think like the writing was kind of on the wall at this moment. Notre Dame was still up by 10, but USC had the ball. So there was like, okay, maybe USC can make something happen here. 4th and 1, they don't go for the run. They go for a play action pass, trying to run a short yardage like pass play on this one. And that kind of like summed up the entirety of the game where USC was trying to get cute with it. USC was trying to, they were scared to really go for like the big runs. You go for like the short yardage runs. They were trying to get a little too cute with it. And I'll say this, it did work, like in regards to passing, it did work out for them because throwing for, I believe it was like 328. I Notes are still taking a little time. 328 yards by Miavaya. And he had a really solid game, but you just couldn't outmatch the offensive production from Notre Dame. Love able to rush for 228 yards. Price had a great showing too. He was able to get a kickoff return for a touchdown and break off a couple huge runs. The rushing attack from this Notre Dame team is really good. CJ Carr, not the most stellar game, like when it came to like passing statistics, but I still think he had a really great day, able to get one touchdown throw in, 136 yards. He had one boneheaded interception. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. Like just as a viewer and as a longtime Notre Dame fan, I just laughed, not because like I wanted to demean anything, just because the commentators were like, CJ Carr, what are you gonna do? He's running out in the backfield trying to like make a Manziel moment and just throws it straight to the defense in kind of a really bad situation. And you can't have moments like that, but that's like one of the few low moments I've seen of CJ Carr this year. He's been very proficient and he gets the job done. This isn't going to be going down as like a classic CJ Carr game, but this game was going to be determined in the trenches, and Notre Dame was able to get it done. Rainy game in the later half of this game, and Notre Dame was just able to run all over USC. You got to kind of ask questions of how this USC defense is going to be responding to the run, especially as Big Ten play continues. I think that's going to be a very big concern and something that they really need to work on if they want to bounce back from this loss. But overall, great game from Notre Dame, and I think they're still they can. Believe it or not, I still think they control their destiny when it comes to playoff berths right now. If they win out, I do believe they are one of the top 12 teams in this league. And it's a great game, great showing. Definitely going to be one of their best wins of the season. And no real notes after that.
I think this was an impressive win for Notre Dame. It wasn't quite the fraud checking I thought was going to happen in terms of score line, but I will say I just feel like USC kind of got exposed in terms of their play calling and just overall execution. Like they didn't play awful, but they also didn't do a great job executing as well. So that's all I have for that, and I think it's impressive when USC I wasn't necessarily high on, so I'm glad they're kind of out of the picture when it comes to the playoff. In my opinion, at least, they're out of the picture. So
Yeah, I mean, you never know with like that Illinois loss is definitely going to be really tough for them, but you never know with how like the Big Ten's going to shape out. This isn't a conference loss for them, so I always
yeah,
hesitate to say a team is out if like their defining loss, if like their most recent loss is a non-conference matchup.
yeah,
Very rarely am I ever going to say that.
and they're technically still in it because they have only one conference loss, so they theoretically could still make the Big Ten
Theoretically, we do
championship.
need to win out. Theoretically, you do.
Theoretically, we need to win out. Yes.
But I think it's interesting to see how they're going to perform, especially against more run-heavy teams in the Big Ten. I think they got Iowa on their schedule, and they were able to do pretty good against Michigan. But I feel like when they were doing well against Michigan's run, it's because Michigan was already in a position where they couldn't run anymore. USC was able to jump out pretty big on that game and kind of put in the position where they weren't able to run, but they just weren't able to replicate that magic with Notre Dame. And especially if you have like such a loaded backfield as Notre Dame does, like when you think Price is going to get like you think it's only just going to be Love and Price is out on the field, Price runs like breaks off a 20-yard run, and it's literally just a dual-headed monster when it comes to the rushing attack. But moving on, had some interesting SEC matchups. Texas A&M ekes out a close one against Arkansas. Arkansas kind of was able to bring this one back a little bit. I mean, there, it, I mean, got a touchdown in garbage time, but this one was a lot closer than I think a lot of the experts predicted. And the Texas A&M offense remains to be really dominant, but there's going to be questions about this defense. You're allowing 42 points against an Arkansas team that doesn't have a head coach right now, or a full-time head coach
Yeah.
that decided to run back, basically drop the Eagles' best of hits right now, because that's all Arkansas has to offer right now. It's just uh, hey, remember when for an
Yeah.
interim head coach. But I mean, we'll see about Texas A&M moving forward. Um, let's talk about Georgia Ole Miss.
I watched a lot of this game. My sister, she's looking at going to Georgia, so she's been watching a lot of their games closely. This game, it was back and forth, and it impressed me. And I am a little bit more impressed with Ole Miss than I was. I'm not high on them because I still think there's a pretty low floor there as well. I think there's explosive upside, but I also think there's explosive downside in a bad way for Ole Miss, even after this game. I think just what this game showed us, even through adversity, Georgia's able to get it done. I mean, Gunnar Stockton played well. He had 4 touchdowns, 26 of 31. They're good. This Georgia defense, I know they gave up 35, but they were able to get stops when it mattered. Even when they went down by, 2 possessions at one point, they were able to come back and get it done. They were never out of it, and they were able to not only get back into it, but get back into it quickly. I mean, I believe they scored, what was it, 2 touchdowns in the span of like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got a field goal to kind of put it a little bit beyond reach. So, I mean, hats off to Georgia. I think they did a great job. I mean, they had a balanced attack when it came to it. Stockton, 289 yards in the air. And then on the ground, I think they had 100 or so on the ground, or 289 passing yards, 221 rushing yards. Yeah, so fairly balanced. Ole Miss was kind of just a Trinidad Chambers show. I mean, do you have anything else to add? I mean, that's all I've got. I feel like Ole Miss is pretty much just all their quarterback.
I mean, Georgia just kind of refuses to die.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments in this game where I thought it was kind of getting ahead of Georgia. Like, Ole Miss is kind of like keeping pace right now, but Georgia just able to turn it on in that fourth quarter and just always hang in there. I'm obviously I'm not too high on both of these teams right now. Uh, Ole Miss, I think they're definitely due for a loss, and I I kind of question how the college football playoff is going to be ranking these teams. Georgia, I have to say, like a very good win, very solid offensive production from both teams, but shout out, I guess, to the Georgia defense, able to lock it down in that fourth quarter. Didn't let the moments like get too big for them, and they were able to keep it on lock. I don't really have much to add after that, but I'd say good win for Georgia. Um, keeping it, let's keep it in the SEC. Big win for Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia is him in my mind, and in my mind, like I feel like the score doesn't do this game justice. Like for the dominance that I saw out of Vanderbilt. Um, I feel like uh, obviously like this is going to be one of their marquee wins this year, and this LSU team I have been expecting to be a little bit fraudulent, but very solid win from Vanderbilt. Good production out of Nussmeier for LSU. 225 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Like I feel like people clown on him a little bit too much, but he's good. Diego Pavia is just able to like utilize like the rushing and the passing together. He's just one of those guys that's really hard to stop. And Vanderbilt, I just feel like right now is kind of a team of destiny. I'm getting that vibe right now. Like I'm hopping on the Vanderbilt bandwagon. I've kind of been on it. I know Gareth has been a little bit hesitant at times, but I feel like Vanderbilt's the real deal.
Yeah, I'm impressed with this. My main takeaway from this game is I kind of this, and not from like a mistake standpoint, because the mistakes that neither team really made many big mistakes, but the vibe I'm getting from LSU is it just seems like Garrett Nussmeier has no help.
Hmm.
Is just kind of I didn't get a chance to watch much of this game. I flipped between games, but Garrett Nussmeier just does not appear to have a whole lot of help around him. Not saying they don't have good or talented players, but Garrett Nussmeier does not have a lot of help. Obviously, like you said, Diego Pavia was able to do it on the ground and through the air for Vanderbilt. Just kind of Mr. Everything for them. I really don't think there was ever a moment where like Vanderbilt was not in control of this game. So hats off to Vanderbilt. This is a good win. And this is definitely a good win to kind of bank going into their next couple stretches of games, considering who they're playing. This was a much needed like tone setter.
big game this upcoming weekend is going to be Vanderbilt versus Missouri, but Missouri comes off a interesting win against Auburn. I just feel bad for Auburn, man. Can you, if there's a team that I feel bad for the most, it's Auburn. Like,
Yeah.
like Auburn is just a an un an unfortunate team. Um, Missouri able to seal the game going into like get the game going to overtime late in the fourth quarter, tied 17-17, and in second overtime, Missouri's able to get the touchdown and doesn't get the 2 point conversion, but it doesn't matter. And Auburn just doesn't seal the deal again, and it 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 just because it's just sad, and I just feel bad for them. Missed field goals, missed opportunities. There's so many like the kicking game of Auburn has kind of been sus. Got two missed field goals that could have like put the game like in a completely different situation. Um, I feel like there's nothing else to say other than to just I feel bad for this opportunity. A good win for Missouri, but I think they're an interesting 6-1 right now. I mean, they kept it close against Alabama. They looked pretty good against Alabama, but I just don't know how. I don't know how to assess these Auburn like wins. Like, is Auburn good and they're just unfortunate, or is Gareth help me out here?
I don't know. Auburn, I think you said it best last time. Auburn is going to snap at some point. Something's going to break, and they're just going to absolutely fucking take it out on. And it's
They're
not
going to
going to be
take it out on
Arkansas.
Alabama. It's going to be on
Not,
Alabama.
it's not going to be Arkansas. It's not going to be Kentucky. It's going to be Vanderbilt or Alabama. They're going to ruin someone's playoff chance. It's going to be one of the two. And it's not going to ruin it per se, like, mathematically, but I mean optics wise. It'll likely be a second loss to a team in a tightly contested race that's likely fighting for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly if it's a blowout, like if Auburn just says like, that kid that gets bullied finally wails on the bully and like, ends up in detention because, oh, it's one thing to hit back, but it's another thing to shove a pencil up his nose to the point he goes brain dead. Like,
Yeah.
so I think one of those two, it's going to be an ugly, just like beat down. Like, I'm talking like it's going to get ugly.
That's it. When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
Stop. He's dead already.
Uh,
Yeah. This Auburn team has explosive upside, but the problem is Jackson Arnold's also a limiting factor. He's a junior quarterback, but he's also got very limited experience. He hasn't played badly. He's got 5 touchdowns, five passing touchdowns, 1 interception. So he kind of he takes care of the ball, is what I'm saying. And Auburn has a good rushing attack. They keep the ball on the ground very well, and they're very efficient. I think the levee's going to break at some point. I know I keep saying that, but the levee's going to break at some point, and it's going to be bad.
yes.
Whoever's on the other side of that.
Yes. Indeed. Let's see what else.
You had the Holy War.
Holy War. Yeah, Utah, BYU. BYU gets a good win over Utah. This BYU team looks legit in my opinion. I mean, this Utah team's no slouch. Fireworks were going off that in that fourth quarter. That's when the game really got interesting. Offensively speaking, just back and forth. BYU able to come with 2 touchdowns in the middle and late of that fourth quarter, and then at that point, uh, they like Utah was just in a tough spot, able to get 1 touchdown in like the final minutes of the game, but just unable to close out the deal. Um, I think, I mean, BYU looks good. Bear Backamere uh, uh, looking pretty decent for the BYU passing scheme, but this rushing attack for BYU by LJ Martin uh, is also just a really really tough and physical type of offense. I feel like BYU is able to kind of like do both, and I see like glimpses of like Notre Dame in them a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing that's impressed me about BYU that's different from you is their defense, particularly. I'm gonna butcher this because it's definitely some Polynesian name. Paleta Satuala Satuala
Hmm.
leads the team with 43 tackles on the year, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles. In his most recent game against Utah, he had 12 total tackles, 8 solo. I mean, Jack Kelly contributed with a sack, but I think all around this was just a good game by BYU. They
Hmm.
were able to keep the emotions in check in a rivalry game. Utah plays a very physical brand of football that can be very punishing. They're able to weather the storm and they're able to make it through. So I think this BYU team is possibly playoff bound if things
Yeah,
continue trending in that correct direction.
absolutely, absolutely. But keeping it in the Big 12, Texas Tech suffered a pretty big loss to Arizona State. This game, it was looking like pretty ugly. But Texas Tech was, I applaud them, being able to keep their composure and really kind of give it to ASU in the fourth quarter. Back-to-back touchdowns, just making a game that was 19-7 to in a matter of like minutes, turning it into 22-19. ASU was able to respond though, and at that point, uh, like it was all over for Texas Tech. Arizona State's just one of these weird, tough teams, and going to ASU was is like a task in of itself. Um, I'm I'm still high on Texas Tech, but props to Arizona State for like pulling off the upset. Levitt able to throw for 319 yards. Um, I just really, really solid offensive production from Arizona State, especially in the crucial moments when they really, really needed it, when momentum was starting to swing another way. Arizona State was able to kind of keep that composure and seal the game for them. Texas Tech, I mean, they've suffered some like pretty bad injuries, but I wasn't really considering that as a factor in this game. And I think this loss might kind of bite them in the butt, but especially with it being a conference loss. But I'm interested to see how Texas Tech responds after this.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of been weird with Arizona State is Sam Levitt himself. He led them to the playoff appearance last year, but he's been kind of hurt off and on this season, and their losses kind of coincide with him being hurt. I mean, that's not to say their backup Sims isn't fulfilling the role good enough because he has been. But a lot of their success is riding on whether they've got Sam Levitt or not. Now that Cam Scadaboo's gone, but still, hats off to them. Good win. Their defense did a great job of keeping Texas Tech in check and just keeping it kind of to a grind it out. Just who wants it more, who's going to have the ball last type of game. They did a good job kind of corralling Will Hammond as well, just kind of keeping things under wraps. You know what I mean? Just kind of keeping the game manageable because this Texas Tech team in past weeks has had explosive upside. They've been, up and down. And I know Texas Tech was playing with backup. Baron Morton, I forget if he was injured or serving some kind of suspension, but Baron Morton was not playing. Like I agree with Aiden. This loss is costly, but I don't think it fully, with how wide open the Big 12 is, I don't think this fully disqualifies them for the playoff.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I don't think it disqualifies them from the playoff, but it's going to be a tough loss, regardless. Uh, Moving over, Virginia versus Washington State.
Washington
Mm,
State's a dangerous team right now. They're
I mean, Virginia, you got lucky.
It happened to Ole Miss last week too. This is the same team. This
Yeah,
team's just feeling dangerous right now.
feeling dangerous after getting absolutely walked by North Texas.
Yeah.
But Virginia able to come back from a 20-10 deficit and secure the game, uh, 22-20. Um, what do I think of this? I mean, this Washington team is very difficult, but it's not the best performance from Chandler Morris, if I'm being completely honest. Uh, Being limited to only 179 yards passing, uh, just not the most impressive offensive performance from a Virginia team that it has been pretty offensively dominant. And uh, just, mm, you're on thin ice, Virginia, right now. I'm not going to lie. Like, the rest of your schedule, I mean, you got UNC, Cal. Like, I'm the rest of your schedule is winnable, but when it comes to like these ACC teams, I feel like whether fairly or unfairly, uh, these voters for the college football playoffs are going to be looking at these type of games right now, and you got to be on good behavior these next couple games, in my opinion. And I'm interested to see later in the season UVA versus Duke. But right now, UVA, you kind of got to get on your get right path.
Yeah. No, I will say I do think that they will bounce back. And maybe, Washington State's just on a little bit of a insanity run, but I do agree this is not a good look with the rankings dropping next month or 2 Mondays from now. Um, One game I'd like to touch on before we get moving, if it'll load for me, is Minnesota versus Nebraska.
Ooh, yeah.
This is a game one of the few games I've correctly predicted in the last couple weeks. Um, Nothing really going right for Nebraska in this game. Um, Minnesota did their job, obviously. They were just kind of able to establish themselves. I mean, obviously, Drake Lindsay, good game, 16 of 20 for one touchdown. So took care of the football. But mainly, the point of, kind of emphasis here is Darius Taylor, 148 yards on the ground on 25 carries. Um, yeah, Minnesota was just able to finish drives. Um, no real like mistakes for Nebraska. It's just Minnesota was able to finish drives and Nebraska wasn't. Nebraska had no turnovers as well. So it's not like they played a bad game or like they played a sloppy game. It's just they were trading 3-and-outs and field goals for touchdowns, and you cannot do that. I mean, you can do that in the old Big Ten, but nowadays the Big Ten's got more point scoring. Offenses are more explosive. You can't just sit back and grind. You can grind it out, but you can't trade points. You can't trade field goals for touchdowns or 3-and-outs for touchdowns. That's just you can't do that. So that's all I'll say about the game. I mean, I'm very impressed with Minnesota. Nebraska is a team people were high on. I'm still high on them. They've still got explosive upside. But Nebraska is still a very young team. Dylan Raiola is still only in his second season. And statistically, even after that game, he's still having a really good year. It's not their year this year for me. Nebraska, you're going to have a good season. You're going to make a bowl. You're probably even going to make a really good bowl at 5-2. It's just not your year for the big spotlight this year. You're unfortunately not ready. And that's all. And that's no hate to them. But unfortunately, Nebraska's not ready.
Yeah. I guess quick side notes before we move on. Florida gets a win over Mississippi State in a close one, 23-21. Billy Napier did get fired after this game, so dang. But I mean, good to end on a win, I guess. But Florida has been underachieving for a while now, so I think this is probably the best move for Florida. Mississippi State is they're just not there yet,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they're not awful, but they're not there yet.
Yeah, especially by SEC standards. UCLA gets the win over Maryland, 20-17. UCLA has the opportunity to do a very funny thing, and you know what? I'm here for it. I'm kind of a UCLA fan right now, so I mean they're rolling right now. They got Indiana, I think, next, so we'll see how that goes. And Florida State, Stanford, this late night cap on the game. Stanford
Waste of
seals
time.
wins it 20-13. If you didn't see the end, um, I mean, it was interesting, but damn, that was a waste of time. I think Florida State had like three opportunities to try to score a touchdown uh, as time expired, uh, penalties, and just a bunch of different shenanigans went down, and Florida State unable to get the win on the road. Stanford advances 3-4, so they will no longer win a game for the rest of the season.
Who,
Probably
Stanford?
Stanford, yeah. 3-9
Um,
merchants, but wait, they do play UNC, so maybe they might break the 3-9 barrier.
yeah, I unfortunately watched this game. Um, to the FSU fans howling on Twitter, he was short. And even if he wasn't, the amount of calls you guys have gotten over the years, you guys can sit down and shut the fuck up for 10 seconds.
Oh my
With
lord.
the amount of calls you've gotten over the years, I don't care. Yes, was that hit absolutely dirty? Yes. But I'm sorry. You weren't winning with Tommy Castellanos either. Dude's finally getting exposed. He's a good and talented quarterback, but he's not the quarterback he thinks he is, and he's not the quarterback that Gus Malzahn and Florida State think he is. So that's all I'll say on that.
Moving on to week 9. Uh, just keeping it in the Carolinas, starting off, we got Charlotte versus North Texas. North
North
Texas.
Texas. By probably 70.
Probably. UNC versus Virginia. Virginia.
Virginia.
Like,
Chandy Morris gonna cook.
I'm sorry. Like, Chandler Morris is probably going to dice this up. I mean, the line is -10. It probably should be more. I'm taking UVA on the over on that. I mean, I have nothing else to say other than that. There is no happy ending. Um, Wake Forest versus SMU. Uh, this one's actually going to be a really interesting game, but I think I got to go with this one with SMU. SMU has been looking pretty solid as of late. After their tough loss to TCU, they've just kind of been on a little bit of a roll. They've been a little bit of a sleeper team. A lot of people kind of looking over them. Kevin Jennings uh, has been looking good on the year, throwing 17 touchdowns. He's prone to making like some mistakes with 7 interceptions, but I think he's going to be able to lead this SMU team and put up some good numbers against the Wake Forest defense that's kind of been lackluster.
Yeah, I've got SMU in this, particularly after their kind of convincing win against Clemson. I just think their offense is too much to handle for this Wake Forest defense.
You got Droid voice. We can keep it in for Wake Forest, but if we're moving on, we could like see if we can adjust it.
Is it still there?
Nope.
Okay, let's roll with it.
All right, cool. App State versus Old Dominion. I
I don't
mean,
know, man. Both teams have been hella inconsistent lately. I don't even know.
I'll say this: ODU has been kind of reaching a little bit of a tough streak when it comes to Sun Belt uh, teams. I mean, Marshall and James Madison. Marshall's not a bad team when it comes to the Sun Belt, and JMU has been looking pretty good. I think that ODU's due for a win, so it's at home. I'm going with the Monarchs on this one.
I am too. I just think this App State team's a little too inconsistent. Old Dominion's going to be at home. They've got the better stats. I think they've got the more talented roster, and they're overdue. I think they're going to get right. I mean, obviously, their loss to James Madison over the weekend was embarrassing, but I think they're going to get right. You know, they had for 2 weeks in a row they kind of got blown out, so I think they're going to be ready to kick someone's ass, and I think unfortunately that's going to be App.
Pittsburgh versus NC State. I'll keep this one short so Gareth can cover it. But I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of high on this Pittsburgh team after a good win against FSU. I know like FSU's kind of like obviously been on decline. I think they could beat them pretty good. Looked pretty good against Syracuse. Um, I just have a lot of questions about this state team, especially their defense. And obviously, I do like Bailey. He's pretty solid, but I don't know something about this Pitt team. I'm rocking with Pitt.
Yeah, this game I've been trying to get a read on. The line is shifting constantly, but I think that's just probably because it's supposed to be like a close matchup that this line's kind of going up and down and all around. It's
Hmm.
hovering around 6.
Hmm.
Um, I know Pitt's got a new freshman quarterback that is that they're pretty high on. I'm not I'm not so sure of his name right now, but I know he's looked solid. I've seen him and he's been impressive. Um, Although I'm kind of high on State right now after, Doran after a bye week's usually pretty good, particularly when there's nothing left to play for. Like, if there's nothing left to play for in a bye week, Dave Doran's good for a win. And that's about it. It could be an ugly one, but he's due for. Um, if NC State's able to play the way they played the first 3 quarters against Notre Dame, I think they can go 3-2 or maybe even 4-1 the remainder of their games. If they play the way they played the first 3 quarters, yes, they can. Not the fourth quarter.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
saying this Pitt
Okay.
team's suspect at times.
Okay. And State suspect sometimes. Okay, Gareth.
We didn't lose to West Virginia, and I'd put them below Virginia Tech.
Mm,
But I've got us beating Pitt by a touchdown.
yeah. I mean, Mm,
It's a
mhm.
freshman quarterback. It's a crapshoot at this
All
point.
right. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see, Garrett. We'll see.
Hit freshman quarterback, 3 interception game incoming.
All right. Anyway, to games that matter. Let's talk about Indiana versus UCLA. Indiana, great team, amazing team, definitely a top two team. UCLA, something about this UCLA team. I don't know. This game's kind of looking at me funny, Gareth. I'm not gonna lie. The line's -20. I mean, okay, I got Indiana winning this one, but UCLA to cover the spread.
I think UCLA is going to end up bowl eligible. I think
Mm,
they've got 3 winnable games left on their schedule. That'll get them to 6-6. This is not one of them.
yes.
This is not one of them.
Hmm.
I feel like Aiden was a little generous. I think a little bit of the win gets taken out of the sails this weekend. I think this odyssey that is this UCLA team is going to hit a storm. I think
Hmm.
Poseidon is not going to be kind to this UCLA team. They looked a little flat. They faltered a little against UCLA against Maryland. Not a problem. Teams falter all the time. Teams have a bad game here and there. Unfortunately, I think this Indiana game is going to get a little ugly.
Yeah.
The magic is still there, but I'm sorry, the force is not with them in this game. I think Mendoza is going to have an absolute field day with this defense.
Oh yeah,
It's not going to be
absolutely.
UCLA. It's not going to be UCLA's offense that's going to be the problem. It's going to be the fact that Fernando Mendoza is going to have an absolute field day with the UCLA defense.
Yes.
So, give me Indiana to cover on this one. I've got Indiana by 24.
Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. I'm not high on Ole Miss at all, really, and I something about Mateer. I don't know. Like maybe this could. I think this might be a Mateer kind of coming out party again. I think we're going to see him really kind of return to pre-injury form. So I got Oklahoma winning this one.
Similar to the last game, this Ole Miss defense is pretty suspect.
Hmm.
Batier's going to have a fucking field day. Batier's going to have a field day with this one.
Yes.
Especially with how hit or miss this Ole Miss offense has been, this could get pretty ugly.
Hmm.
It's,
Hmm.
I'm not saying this is going to be UCLA Indiana level ugly, but I'll label this. There's potential for this to get ugly, particularly being at Oklahoma. There's potential for it to be ugly. I'm not saying it's going to be ugly. I think Oklahoma's going to win soundly, but there's potential for ugliness. That's all I'm saying. There's potential for gnashing of teeth and salt and wounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping it in the SEC, we got College Game Day going over to Nashville for Missouri versus Vanderbilt. I kind of hinted at this a little bit better, but I'm hopping on Vanderbilt's bandwagon right now. I feel like they're kind of a little bit of a team of destiny right now. I'm high on Diego Pavia. I think this is going to be a really really close game, but something about this uh, Vanderbilt team is kind of speaking to me, and I think Diego Pavia is going to have a good game and kind of seal this one in a classic fourth quarter final drive with the game on the line. With the game on the line, I want the ball in Diego Pavia's hands.
For me this week, I've got Vanderbilt as well. They're at home. Their crowd's gonna be rocking for once, so I've got them. I think it'll be close, like you said, and I think yeah, close. It's actually gonna be one of the four.
Let's see what else. What other games speak to me right now?
LSU, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. I'm sorry.
This is
Like,
my shit bowl of the week. This game is my shit bowl of the week. I'm sorry. Of all the games this weekend, this is the game I want to watch the least. I'd rather watch fucking Virginia Tech and Cal this week than this game. Like, there's at least some, how's Virginia Tech going to continue to do without a head coach? This game, I've got absolutely no desire to watch. Probably the most fraudulent 7-0 team there is against probably the most fraudulent 5-2 team there is. Call it a fraud off. ES Matchup Predictor has Texas A&M favored to win this one. The game's in Baton Rouge. That's how bad Brian Kelly's been. That LSU's not even favored to win in their home stadium. With a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier and how he's been playing, dude has no help. I wouldn't even be surprised if Brian Kelly's against Nussmeier here. I mean, hell, Brian Kelly's killed one of his own players before. So,
it was a student.
Still.
I think he was a student cameraman, but like still.
Wouldn't put it past him. So yeah. With that being said, I've got Texas A&M because they're a little bit more, both of these defenses are suspect. But not Oklahoma, but at least Texas A&M has a little bit of an explosive upside where if there's going to be a situation where they need to get something done on offense, they're the team that's going to be able to do it. I don't trust LSU to get anything done on offense at this point. Because Garrett Nussmeier is no help. If it's something where Garrett Nussmeier can do it himself, sure. But in this game, there's going to be situations where he's not going to be able to do it by himself and has no help. So, give me Texas A&M by double digits.
Yeah, I think you're not double digits, but I think you're pretty right on the money there. I mean, I'll tell you this. I feel like you're a little bit overblowing it for the crap bowl of the week, but a true crap bowl is going to be going down Thursday night if this podcast is up by then. But we got South Alabama versus Georgia State, the battle of 1-6 teams. Bowl eligibility is on the line right here. Give me South Alabama, just because I like Davenport a little bit more. He's had some pretty solid offensive production, and Cameron Brown for Georgia State just has not been looking good. Only 8 touchdowns on the year, but only throwing for 882 yards. I feel like this offensive play from South Alabama is low-key a sleeping giant. They could have some magic behind them.
Yeah, I've got South Alabama too. I mean, this is just a game I'd rather watch. There's actual stakes. Like, let's be honest. Do we really think Texas A&M is going to make the playoff? Let's be honest.
Yes.
The 8-4 Merchants are making the playoff.
I believe so. They have to, because it makes Notre Dame look good.
I mean, I kind of want to see who's on their schedule. Because part of me is like, they make the playoff. I think, honestly, they may have, for once, they've had some really bad SEC schedules as of late. So they were due to have a more doable one. So I'm not shitting on them in that regard. I'm saying they've put in the work to deserve an easy SEC schedule. But at the same time, but now, on to more games that matter. What are there any other games that jump out at me?
I guess the last one that jumps out to me, Minnesota versus Iowa.
That could be a good one.
Yeah. I think Iowa.
Aiden.
What?
We have an even more important matchup, but continue on.
I got Iowa in this one. Iowa's offense has actually been a pretty good as of late. I mean, Um, I've just looking at like their offensive production, had some really solid production against Wisconsin, who is terrible, but Rutgers, they've been looking pretty good. Kept it close with Indiana. Uh, had I don't know, something about this Iowa team. I think they kind of got a little spunk in their offense for the first time, and I think maybe Minnesota might be riding a little bit too high after a big win against Nebraska. So this is going to be a good check to see where Minnesota really is at.
I agree. I think it's going to be kind of not a trap game, but you get what I'm saying. There's something about this Iowa team having just kind of an athletic, dynamic quarterback. I feel like it's going to kind of give them that extra leg. But
Yeah.
speaking of spunk, Aiden, you say
Yes.
spunk. The Cum-Ass Bowl is this weekend. For those of you who don't know, when you put these two teams up against each other in the most recent college football video games, it spells out the word cum-ass. If you haven't guessed yet, it's Central Michigan
Versus UMass
versus
Amherst.
UMass. 0-7 UMass versus 4-3 Central Michigan. Central Michigan looking to take a step closer to bowl eligibility. I'm sorry. I've got Central Michigan in this one, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
The cum's gonna get put in the ass. That's all I'm saying.
The C
And
is going to hit the mass.
yeah, Joe Labas, not like, and well, not wowing you statistically, but this Central Michigan team does run the option.
Mm-hmm.
I will give so. I will give them, the benefit of the doubt in that they do run the option, so their quarterback stats are not going to be up there. I mean, he's taking care of the football, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then obviously their running quarterback Flores, 95 carries for 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Impressive team this Central Michigan. Impressive the Central Michigan team is. So, give me Central Michigan in the Cum-Ass Bowl. Just kind of
Indeed.
taking a little bit one final gander at the games this weekend. I mean, we got Michigan. We got a rivalry game in Michigan State.
I think
Saturday at
Michigan had a
7:30.
really impressive win against Washington last week. I think they're kind of getting back on the right track right now. Michigan's at its best when it's able to really run the ball well. I've been saying it once, and I'll keep on saying it. If they're put in positions where they can control the game on their terms, they win. They weren't able to really establish the run, and when they did, it was at inopportune times. That's where I think they really lost the USC game. But they were able to get a good win against a good Washington team. I think they continue this momentum against Michigan State.
I agree. This Michigan State team's just kind of, eh. I mean, no disrespect to them, but that Michigan State's kind of fallen off a cliff as of late. So, give me Michigan in this one. Any games you want to hit before we move on?
I think I'm good.
No more gems or no more diamonds in the rough that we've missed.
Yeah, yeah. I think we got most of it, but going over
Almost
to
missed
the
the Cum-Ass Bowl.
almost did, but we didn't. Good job, Gareth. But going over to the NFL, Panthers get a win over the Jets, 13-6. Um,
But at
not
what
gonna
cost?
not gonna lie. Yeah, lost Bryce Young, but I mean Andy Dalton's not looking bad. I'm not gonna lie. It really doesn't matter. As long as you have a quarterback that doesn't screw it up and turn the ball over the first couple of drives of the game, I think Carolina's in a good position to win if you can establish the run. And able to do that against the Jets, and defense of Carolina was really able to show out on this one. Granted, the Jets do not have the most stellar offensive play, but good win for Carolina. We have a winning record for like the first time since like I don't know when.
2021.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was a good win. I would have liked to see some things. I would have liked to see with the game. Now I realize this game was kind of, with what's his back? Who came back from injury this game? I know who it is. Chuba Hubbard came back from injury this game, and this is kind of they were trying to figure out who's going to take be the lead back here. But I think Rico Dowdle from now on is going to be the lead back. He had 79 yards on the ground on 17 carries. I think he should have been the number one going into the day. I know they wanted to give kind of the mantle back to Chuba Hubbard to kind of show that they trusted him, but I think you just kind of got to feed the hot hand. You can split reps, but I think you got to favor Dowdle right now when it
Yeah.
comes to stuff to continue the success. But like I said, Bryce Young had a good game. Unfortunately, he got hurt. Defense came up huge in this game. I know it's the as they say as the commercial says, the goddamn Jets. But yeah, a win's a win, so I'll take it. On to Buffalo. Good win, 4-3. Love it. Same record as the Chiefs.
Yes. Let's see. Bengals get a close win over the Steelers. I didn't see this one coming. We had a old man off with Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. Um, both quarterbacks actually look pretty solid, but Aaron Rodgers, when he turns the ball over, like obviously it's going to sound stupid, like you turn the ball over, you lose. But Aaron Rodgers, like it seems like the Steelers' success really seems to waver on if Aaron Rodgers is able to take care of the football. Throwing two interceptions in this game, uh, I believe in losses, Aaron Rodgers has four interceptions, and among like their only two losses, and among like their four wins, Aaron Rodgers only has like one interception. So Aaron Rodgers being able to take care of the ball is really determinant of the Steelers' success. Joe Flacco had a pretty amazing game, throwing for 342 yards, three touchdowns. I feel like if the Bengals line is able to hold, Joe Flacco is going to do well, but I just don't see this being a good long-term success for the rest of the season while Joe Burrow is out. If like uh, I don't see Joe Flacco being able to continue this success at this level against like better pass rushing teams. Not saying the Steelers are bad at pass rushing. I'm just saying that it's something to look out for.
It is. I mean, I love that, the quarterbacks we grew up watching are still able to duke it out. I know there's been some people complaining about, this is the state of quarterback play in the NFL. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers is coasting off a reputation right now. And that's not saying there's not better. I'm just saying I don't know if I would be able to turn down Aaron Rodgers over some of these guys. And then the Bengals, they really have no need for a younger guy. You think about it, like they didn't know Joe Burrow was going to get hurt. They really have no need to draft a quarterback to put behind him. And Jake Browning was doing a good job just sitting there studying the playbook until he had to come in.
Yeah.
But impressive win, and I agree with Aiden. I don't think this is sustainable in the slightest at all. I mean, the Steelers don't have a bad defense, but their pass rush isn't necessarily one of the better ones in the NFL. So
Yeah.
entertaining game. Shame I couldn't have watched that. That would have been a fun one to watch.
Let's see. Going around, Patriots get a big win over the Titans. May continues to kind of cook a little bit, throwing for 222 yards, two touchdowns. Cam Ward had a pretty solid game too with 255 yards passing, but this Titans team's just not looking good. He seems to be kind of the only bright spot for them. Dylan Gabriel gets a pretty good win over the Dolphins. I mean, it's the Dolphins, but Browns get a good win. Eagles back in the win column against the Vikings. Jalen Hurts able to pass for three touchdowns and lead the Eagles to a 28-22 win over the Vikings. Kind of a good get right game for the Eagles, putting them back in the win column, which is it's good to see. Broncos had a close one against the Giants. This Giants team's uh, pretty dangerous and kind of unpredictable. But what the hell happened in that fourth quarter? What
No
the?
idea.
Oh my lord! What the hell happened in that fourth quarter? Like, damn. Uh, Broncos score 33 points in a fourth quarter that was just, uh, it was just fireworks going off constantly. Bo Nix able to throw for 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jackson Dart looked pretty good, but it had some mistakes with throwing an interception, kind of at like a really pivotal moment in the fourth quarter, really putting life into the Denver Broncos. Uh, Interesting game, and Giants defense definitely looking kind of sus, but we kind of already knew that.
Yeah. One game I wanted to highlight that I watched was Colts Chargers.
Hmm.
This Colts offense is absolutely humming. Jim Cooter's done a great job scheming an offense around Daniel Jones. I've been doing a lot of research into this offense because now I will say Kevin O'Connell's done a great. Current Vikings head coach. He's gotten a lot of credit for turning around Sam Darnold and then putting in a lot of work with Daniel Jones, and he was there last year. Um, and then Jim Cooter, like I said, has done a great job building an offense around him and Jonathan Taylor. And a lot of people are kind of saying this is just like a system thing. But I will say, if you get a good line in front of anyone, I feel like it'll let them shine.
Yeah.
It'll let them shine. And you've got good players around. You've got a good scheme. Um, their defense, it wasn't great, but it did enough to stem Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert still took you for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, but you were able to get him to turn the ball over twice, which ultimately was the difference. You were able to shut down the rushing game. But I think the main takeaway from this game is the Chargers need to get healthy. If the Chargers want to have success, they need to get healthy. They're a good team, but the problem is with all these injuries they have, it's limiting their upside. They're still a solid team. They're still well coached. They still play very well, but they need to get healthy if they want long-term success with this team. That's my takeaway from this game. Which, and I know that's like no duh, but like some teams are able to kind of work around it. I think with the Chargers, unfortunately, where their injuries are, they're not going to be able to get past that ultimately. Um,
Yeah. Cowboys get a big win over the Commanders, 44-22. Dak Prescott continuing to uh, just kind of be pretty dominant, having a surprisingly like MVP caliber year. And Cowboys get another win. This Commanders team's just not really looking too good right now. I think they're kind of getting a little sophomore slump out of Dane Daniels. I still think he's going to be great in the league, but I think we're just kind of being brought back to reality with him.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think, I don't think last year was lightning in a bottle, but I do think it's kind of, they're being brought back down to reality. Another game I want to highlight that I thought was an interest, an interesting game to say the least would be, how do I say this? That Lions Buccaneers.
Hmm.
Um, Neither team played really well. It was a close game, and the Lions kind of pulled away at the end there. Um, I mean, obviously the Lions did a better job. Jared Goff took care of the ball a little better. Um, the Buccaneers couldn't buy a break to save their life. They, the big one, that first down that got overturned. I mean, Tampa Bay receivers are dropping passes left and right. Mike Evans went down with a broken clavicle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a devastating loss.
that's a devastating loss. And on top of the other injuries they've had to this team, I mean, they've still been able to win in spite of those injuries, but they're now really depleted. And I don't take any solace or gratitude or like happiness in them being hurt at all. What I will say is the Panthers are one game back from the Buccaneers. This division's looking, dare I say it, very gettable. Not winnable, but I feel like the Panthers could make this very interesting given the current circumstances for both teams. We could be in for an interesting season, to say the least, or at least a lot more interesting than Panthers fans first thought after the first few games. And obviously, that's not taking anything away from Jameer Gibbs and Amon-Ra's performance in that game. That was unreal. Gibbs, 136 yards on 17 carries, 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra, 6 receptions, 86 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Detroit overall played a solid game. It was just early in the game where Detroit looked really shaky. So, shall we go on to week 8?
Yeah, I think we can go on to week 8 now. 1 second, let me pull up the games. I mean, Thursday night we got Vikings Chargers. The Chargers teams has been obviously looking a little bit hit or miss on this one, but I like the Chargers for this one. I mean, it's at the Chargers. I feel like Justin Herbert's due to like have another stellar game, and I just feel like the offensive pieces of the Chargers are a lot more cohesive than the Vikings right now, and I expect a pretty good like kind of get back game for the Chargers.
I do. I expect that as well. The Vikings still have Carson Wentz at the helm, so and there's no shade to Carson Wentz. I just feel like the Vikings have just kind of been up and down, and it's going to be an interesting game to say the least. Um, Loads of injuries on both sides. Obviously, I alluded to with the Chargers. Omari and Hampton's on the IR. Joe Wall is questionable. His estimated return is Thursday, so that could be a turning point for the Chargers as their pass protection's been suffering. They will be getting Joe Alt back, so their season, they could be getting some momentum going. But also, Pipkins the third, their guard, is also likely coming back on Thursday. So they could be getting some key pass protectors back. So this could be a turning point for the Chargers. This could be, like you said, not only a get right game, but with them getting people back, this could be momentum forward. So I agree. I think the Chargers will do this, and I think this win for the Chargers will kind of propel them forward. On
Panthers
to,
Bills.
you know what? Fuck it.
What?
Red Rifles in at quarterback. It's at home. Panthers are 3-0 at home. The line's only 7. Give me the fucking Panthers. I'm just saying, this Buffalo defense has not looked great the past few times out. Now, I say that now, and then they're going to fucking shut us out, just knowing my luck.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
hey, give me the Panthers.
I mean, Bills are coming off a bye. Haven't looked like too great in these past couple games with a loss to the Falcons and loss to the Patriots. I mean, I can see a world where the Panthers win, but I'm not gonna lie. I think the Bills are gonna kind of they've taken their bye. They getting back together. I think Josh Allen's due for a good game. The defense I feel like is going to tighten up. And, I feel like they're going to have an answer to the Panthers' running attack, and then he's going to be putting Andy Dalton in some uncomfortable situations. I got the Bills winning this one.
Trying to.
Giants Eagles again.
For the second time in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that turnaround I would have kind of wanted this to be a little bit later in the season, but we got the Giants going to the Eagles this week. I don't think the Giants, I think the Giants are going to be keeping it close with the Eagles, but in Philly, I think the Eagles are starting to kind of get back into hitting their strides. I got the Eagles winning this one.
I've got the Eagles winning this one as well. I feel like they've kind of seen. I don't want to call the Giants a gimmick because running the ball, I don't feel like it's a gimmick. But I feel like the kind of whole, exciting whites gimmick is going to wear off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're going to be able to get. Like, I still think Cam Scatterboo is going to have a good game, but I think, kind of that frat boy swagger is not going to be there as much with, Jackson Dart. I still think he's going to have a good game, but I don't think that wow factor is going to be there. So give me the Eagles.
Broncos Cowboys. Cowboys are going over to Denver. Cowboys kind of looked a little high. Dak Prescott has been looking good. I think I see two offenses going at it. But I got to give this one to Denver.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. This Denver team has a big kind of, they've been known to start games slow this season. And the one team you cannot start slow against is the Cowboys, particularly with how high powered this offense is. I'm not saying that I think this is foolproof and that this is definitely why Dallas is going to win, but I'm definitely leaning towards more likely than not that with how fast Dallas can score and the explosive pieces they have on offense, particularly George Pickens, obviously, Javonte Williams in the backfield, and just with how well Dak's played this season, Denver could end up in a really tight spot early in this game if they're not careful. If they play like they have the past couple of games, they are going to end up in a really tight, really uncomfortable spot going into halftime. And I know they've been the kings of the comeback the last 2 weekends, but like I said, this Dallas offense, it may be an insurmountable lead at that point. Like, you're going to have to bring your A game and not just in the fourth quarter. So.
Going over to Sunday Night Football, we have Packers versus the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers playing his former team in Green Bay. Prime time in Pittsburgh. Give me the Steelers on this one. I feel like the Packers have had too many questions. Like I know they're 4-1-1, but I'm just not too sold on them, and I think the Steelers are gonna bounce back at home this week. If Aaron Rodgers can take care of the ball, which I think he will, he's going to be doing good.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, when he's got a point to prove, is unmatched. So give me Aaron Rodgers.
Going over to Monday Night Football, we got Commanders Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs on this one. Commanders, I'm not sold on whatsoever. Like I said, Jaden Daniels going through a little bit of a sophomore slump. It's in Arrowhead. I expect a really big win for the Chiefs.
I agree. Similar to the Chargers, the Chiefs have everyone coming back this week. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders, it's much the opposite. It's more of out the revolving door. They've got a lot of injuries. Deebo Samuel, still questionable. Terry McLaurin, still questionable. Jaden Daniels is questionable for the game. Armstrong and Jackson are both out until Jackson's out till November. Armstrong's out for the season. So it's not looking good for this Washington team, particularly in this matchup being in Arrowhead as well. So I've got the Chiefs in this one.
Good. All right. You want to Want to move on to the World Series?
Yeah, let's move on to the World Series.
Alrighty, World Series starts, I believe, this Friday. We got the Dodgers going up against the Toronto Blue Jays. Um, Real interesting AL final, in my opinion. Mariners just not able to seal the series against the Blue Jays. I did not see that coming. The Mariners were coming out hot for uh, like the first couple games. I mean, uh, but starting off the series 2-0, but then Toronto comes back with a big game three and follows it up with another huge big game four appearance. Uh, then Seattle able to get the game five win. That's when I kind of started thinking, hey, maybe things are going to go the Mariners' way. But Mariners just really kind of plummeted in game seven and unable to make it to the World Series. Really disappointing, in my opinion. I really wanted to see a Mariners Dodgers World Series, but we're going to be getting it with Toronto. Um, I guess my main, I guess, thoughts going into this series is just, can Toronto match LA's dominance? LA coming off a big sweep against the Brewers, looked really dominant against the Phillies. The Dodgers are back in their playoff form. I know there was some questions going in. They didn't look as dominant this year. They put that all aside. They've pretty much gone undefeated, like only one loss to the Phillies throughout the entirety of their playoff run. I don't think Toronto has what it takes to stop LA. They have so many stars on their side. Also, this might be Clayton Kershaw's. Hopefully, we can get a couple innings with him, as this is his retirement kind of tour right now, and I think the Dodgers are going to win.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to win as well. As much as I don't want that to happen, I just feel like they've just got too many resources, too many weapons at their disposal. And I feel like with how inconsistent the Blue Jays have been in the playoffs and just as the season as a whole, that's going to spell disaster for them. I think they'll take a few games, but I think just the consistency of the Dodgers is going to help them out here on top of their star power and just they're really dominant at every position group. There's no real position where they are lacking. So they are kind of an all around, I don't want to call them super team, but like, they're kind of well off in every position, if you will.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I guess that sums up our MLB predictions. We got UFC 321 this week in Abu Dhabi. Uh, Not as heavy of a card as I would have as 320. That was an amazing card. I liked it a lot. But we got some interesting matchups. Main card, main event, we got the heavyweight title fight. Finally, we are getting another heavyweight title fight without John Jones holding up the division. We have a matchup that is for the legit heavyweight title. No more freaking interim champions. No more being out on injury. We finally have a heavyweight matchup in the big 2025, and I am excited for it. We got Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn. It should be an interesting fight. I think Tom Aspinall is going to win this one big. I'm not even going to hide it. Cyril Gahn, yeah, he has two losses, but he's just unable to like show up in these main title fight events. Did not do it against Francis Ngannou. Did not do it against John Jones. I think Tom Aspinall is the young, uh, just ready to go heavyweight face of the UFC, and I'm excited to see how he's going to perform in a match with like such uh, just like importance. I got Tom Aspinall winning this one big. We got a women's strawweight title fight. Viana Janaroba versus Mackenzie Dern. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know that much about women's strawweight. Listen, I know like I try not to be a casual as much, but I just I watched a little bit of tape on both of these. Both um, uh, have solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu backgrounds. I'm excited to see this one, and you see the grappling like who has the grappling advantage on this one. This is a rematch from let's see. They did fight before because this is the second iterations of the fight, but let's see. When was the last time they fought? That was back in 2020. Um, so back just when these fighters weren't even in uh, title contention. I'm excited to see how this rematch is going to go. Takedown advantage goes to Mackenzie. Um, actually, and Verena actually has a really solid takedown advantage as well. Better on the submission advantage. I have Verena winning the rematch. She lost the first one against Mackenzie Dern. I think she's got this one and can uh, uh, get the strawweight title. So there's that. Bantamweight matchup between Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Batista. A lot of people, as of late, kind of been sleeping on Mario Batista a little bit. Umar has recently been, he had a tough loss against Marab. Seeing if he can bounce back from this one. This might have championship implications. Give me Mario Batista on this one. Let's see if there's any other interesting matchups. Another heavyweight matchup got Alexander Volkov versus Jelton Almeida. I mean, Alexander Volkov, man, he had an excellent prime, but he's just kind of fallen off the map right lately. Just not looking 100%. I think Jelton is going to take this one and probably win by, I got to say, maybe by knockout on this one. Volkov, man, he was like an absolute knockout artist, but he's just kind of been a little bit just he's kind of fallen off, not gonna lie. He's getting a little bit up there in age, lost to Cyril Gahn, had a bunch of like good wins, but I think Alexander Volkov's like a little bit too old, kind of washed a little bit. So I got him losing this one. But that kind of sums up my UFC 321 matchup predictions. Uh, Not too excited as this card, not gonna lie, but could have some interesting fights. I'm interested to talk about them next week, but in the world of pay-per-views, when it comes to the rest of the year, let's see what 322 is if I can remind myself. I mean, we got 22 in November, so in a couple weeks we could be covering that, and 323 in December. I believe that is going to be the final pay-per-view under the ESPN contract, so that could be interesting. But yeah, UFC starting to heat up a little, like has been kind of on a hot streak lately. Really excited to see how this heavyweight fight goes. I will be tuning in for that. Everything else, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you could take it or leave it. Like I'm not gonna fault you for skipping this one right now.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to. This isn't the NBC one, right? It's or not NBC.
Yeah, no, there's no CBS one until January.
Well, the Patty the Batty fight will be there.
I mean, Patty the
January.
Batty will probably be fighting there. Gareth when Patty the Batty is fighting. Yep.
Or a random TikToker. Who's the other guy that I like all of a sudden perk up?
Who was it? Sean O'Malley. Is that?
Gareth when a
Oh.
TikToker or when like or when a guy with terrorist affiliations fights. I know who that is.
That's the Dagestanis or Hamzat Shemaev. Yeah, you
Gareth,
when
he's friends with the Chechen warlord. No.
but
This guy's cool. No, he's not.
cool is subjective, but yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add or
No,
cover tonight?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week. We have a college basketball full conference predictions for you guys in the works currently. Aiden and I are still doing our research for that, so that'll be a whole video unto itself because that's going to take a while.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But no, we really appreciate you guys listening in, and we will see you next week.